Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, into a family already strained by dysfunction. His father, Lionel, a chemist, was emotionally detached, consumed by his career, while his mother, Joyce, battled depression and hypochondria, even attempting suicide at one point. As a child, Jeffrey was quiet, but beneath that calm exterior lay a disturbing fascination with death that would eventually shock the world. By the age of 4, he began collecting animal bones, storing them in jars as grim trophies. In his teenage years, he escalated to dissecting roadkill, arranging their skulls on makeshift crosses in the woods behind his home, a chilling precursor to the atrocities that would follow. High school provided no solace for Dahmer. He turned to alcohol to cope with his loneliness, concealed his emerging homosexuality, and indulged in dark fantasies centered around control and dissection. At the age of 18, just weeks after his parents' tumultuous divorce, he committed his first murder. On a muggy June night in 1978, Dahmer encountered 18-year-old Stephen Hicks, who was hitchhiking close to his Ohio residence. With a friendly demeanor and an invitation for a drink, he enticed the unsuspecting young man into his home. Hours later, when Hicks attempted to leave, Dahmer's demeanor changed drastically. He seized a 10-pound dumbbell and fatally struck Hicks, then strangled him to ensure he was dead. The brutality continued as, over the next 2 days, Dahmer dismembered Hicks's body in his basement, using acid to dissolve the flesh and scattering the pulverized bones in the nearby woods. For 9 years, the crime remained hidden, while Dahmer's insatiable urges only intensified.
In 9th grade, in biology class, we had the usual dissection of fetal pigs, and I took the remains of that home and kept the skeleton of it. And I just started branching out, dogs, cats. I suppose it could have turned into a normal hobby like taxidermy. And all I know is that I wanted to see what the insides of these animals looked like. There may have been some violence involved, some underlying subconscious feelings of violence. It was a compulsion. Became a compulsion.
Jeff,
Take them back in the woods, skin them sometimes, slit them all the way open. Look at the organs, feel them.
can you describe what you were thinking?
It was just mystifying to me how the insides of the animal looked. There was a sort of general excitement for me. I don't know why. It was exciting to see. I was drinking a lot during that time, and just, I don't know, looking for something to, some way to find some fulfillment, some pleasure. And I acted on my fantasies, and that's where everything went wrong.
Did you ever tell yourself, I have to stop this? I must stop doing this?
Yes.
When it was going on?
After the second time, it seemed like the compulsion to do it was too strong, and I didn't even try to stop it after that. But before the second time, things had been building up gradually. Going to bookstores, going to the bars, the gay bars, bath clubs. When that wasn't enough, buying sleeping pills and using it on various guys in the bath clubs. It just escalated slowly but surely. And after the second time, which was not planned, it was out of control. It felt like it was out of control.
Were you relieved to be arrested?
Part of me was, and part of me wasn't.
Explain.
I don't know. It's like I don't believe I have a split personality, but you know the feeling where oh, you're sort of glad about something, but on the other hand, you're not. That's how it was. It was a relief not to have to keep such a gigantic secret that I had kept for so many years. And once I saw that I had no choice but to face it, I decided to face it head on and make a full confession. So I am glad that the secrets are gone.
The subsequent years were marked by a haze of setbacks and deterioration. Dahmer dropped out of Ohio State, joined the Army, and was released due to his struggles with alcoholism. He moved from one unfulfilling job to another, with his darker impulses lurking just beneath the surface. Even multiple arrests for indecent exposure and public masturbation did little to deter him. By 1987, his fantasies had escalated into a much more sinister realm, culminating in an attempt to exhume a recently buried body for his own perverse satisfaction. However, it was in November of that year that his plunge into madness reached a chilling new extreme. In a shadowy bar in Milwaukee, Dahmer engaged in conversation with 25-year-old Stephen Tuomi. With his charm and persuasive demeanor, he managed to convince Tuomi to accompany him to the Ambassador Hotel. Dahmer later insisted that his intention was merely to drug Tuomi, keeping him unconscious while he examined his body. However, when he awoke the following morning, he was met with a horrifying sight. Tuomi lay lifeless beneath him, his chest caved in, face battered, and blood seeping from his lips. Dahmer's own hands were injured, and his forearms were marked with bruises, leaving him with no recollection of the violent incident. Overwhelmed by panic, Dahmer crammed Tuomi's body into a suitcase and secretly transported it back to his grandmother's home, where he concealed it for a week before beginning the gruesome process of dismemberment. He severed the head, stripped the flesh from the bones, and disposed of the remains in trash bags. Yet, he chose to keep Tuomi's skull as a macabre trophy. For 2 weeks, he boiled it in bleach, deriving a twisted pleasure from it until it became fragile, at which point he crushed it into dust. This murder signified a chilling transformation for Dahmer. No longer fighting against his dark impulses, he fully surrendered to them. He had become a predator. 2 months following the murder of Tuomi, Dahmer enticed 14-year-old James Doxtator into his grandmother's basement with a $50 offer and the lure of nude photographs. Tragically, the boy never emerged alive. Dahmer drugged him, strangled him, and left his body in the cellar for a week before dismembering it. He kept the skull, similar to Tuomi's, before ultimately destroying it. Next was Richard Guerrero, a 22-year-old bisexual man whom Dahmer encountered outside a gay bar in March 1988. Guerrero agreed to spend the night for $50, but by morning, he was dead, having been strangled with a leather strap and subjected to violation. Dahmer acted swiftly this time, dismembering Guerrero within a day, retaining only the skull, which he later crushed months later. However, not every victim met a grim fate. In April 1988, Dahmer targeted Ronald Flowers, drugging his coffee, but was interrupted by his grandmother's voice from upstairs. Startled, he abandoned his plan and instead left the unconscious Flowers at a hospital. By September, Dahmer's grandmother had reached her limit. The foul odor from the basement, the late-night guests, and his drinking habits led her to kick him out. He relocated to a small apartment, but just days later he was arrested for drugging and molesting a 13-year-old boy. Psychiatrists described him as disturbed and impulsive, suffering from a schizoid personality disorder. Yet, the justice system failed to intervene effectively. In January 1989, Dahmer pleaded guilty to child enticement and sexual assault, receiving a mere slap on the wrist, 1 year in a work release program, and probation. Just 2 months after his conviction, while still awaiting sentencing, Dahmer struck again. On March 25, 1989, he met Anthony Sears, a 24-year-old aspiring model, at a gay bar. Sears stood out as exceptionally attractive, someone Dahmer found irresistible. After luring him to his home, Dahmer drugged, strangled, and decapitated him. This time, he didn't just dispose of the remains, He preserved Sears's head and genitals in acetone, storing them in a wooden box as a macabre keepsake. By May, Dahmer received his sentence, but due to work release privileges, he spent minimal time incarcerated. After being paroled early, he returned to live with his grandmother. The system had failed to keep him in check. The most troubling events were still ahead. In May 1990, Dahmer took up residence in apartment 213 at the Oxford Apartments in Milwaukee, marking the beginning of a horrifying chapter. His first victim in this location was 32-year-old Raymond Smith, a male sex worker who was enticed with the offer of $50. Dahmer strangled Smith, posed his lifeless body for Polaroid photographs, and then dismembered him in the bathtub. Smith's skull, which Dahmer painted and polished, became part of his disturbing collection alongside that of another victim, Sears. Dahmer's gruesome practices escalated further. In April 1991, he encountered 19-year-old Errol Lindsay, whom he subjected to a horrific experiment by drilling a hole in his skull and injecting hydrochloric acid in a twisted effort to create a compliant zombie. Lindsay briefly regained consciousness, murmuring, "I have a headache. What time is it?" before Dahmer strangled him to death. Next was Konarak Synthus Somphone, a 14-year-old boy who, unbeknownst to Dahmer, was the younger brother of a previous victim. Drugged, bleeding, and barely aware, Konarak managed to escape naked into the street, where 3 women rushed to assist him. However, when the police arrived, Dahmer calmly asserted that the boy was simply his intoxicated boyfriend. Despite Konarak's visible injuries, the officers returned him to Dahmer, and he was dead just hours later. By July 1991, the stench of death permeated apartment 213. Neighbors reported foul smells and noises reminiscent of a chainsaw. Inside, the refrigerator held preserved body parts, the freezer contained biological evidence, and a 57-gallon drum was filled with decomposing remains. Tracy Edwards, the last intended victim of Dahmer, ultimately led to his downfall. Lured to the apartment with the promise of cash for nude photographs, Edwards found himself handcuffed, a knife against his skin, as Dahmer ominously whispered, "I'm going to eat your heart." However, Edwards remained composed, biding his time until he could strike back. He managed to punch Dahmer and escape into the darkness. When the police followed Edwards back to the apartment, they stumbled upon a gruesome scene: severed heads in the refrigerator, skulls displayed on shelves, and Polaroids chronicling each murder. As Dahmer lay pinned to the ground, he murmured, "For what I did, I should be dead." Dahmer admitted to committing 17 murders, each one more horrific than the previous. He revealed his involvement in necrophilia, cannibalism, and his disturbing wish to keep his victims with him eternally. In 1994, justice was served in prison when fellow inmate Christopher Scarver fatally attacked Dahmer with a metal bar, finally putting an end to the nightmare he had unleashed. From a solitary child fascinated by bones to one of America's most infamous serial killers, Jeffrey Dahmer's tale serves as a chilling reminder of how unchecked darkness can engulf a person and devastate countless lives in its wake. Dahmer's reign of terror concluded not with a dramatic climax, but through the bravery of one man who refused to be another victim. His story compels us to reflect on how many warning signs were overlooked and how many opportunities to stop him were missed. The system failed his victims, but it was Tracy Edwards' escape that ultimately brought the horror to light.
You know, I told him I was still contemplating, so therefore he offered me a beer and a rum and coke mixture at that point.
Now, you're fully clothed,
Yes,
okay, and you're sitting on a couch,
right.
and he talks to you about this posing, and you weren't sure you're going to do it.
Right.
How much had you been offered to do the posing?
$100.
Okay, and when he brings you the beer, he brings you rum and coke?
Yeah, he brings the beer first, and then he brings the rum and coke.
How big of a glass?
Maybe that big. Yeah.
About 4 inches high?
About 4 inches, yeah, 3.5, something like that.
Did you ever taste it?
Yeah, I took a few sips.
Was it strong, weak, medium, or just about right?
I'm not a big liquor drinker, so it didn't taste that good to me. I don't.
Didn't taste good to you? You don't know if it was strong or not?
Strong or not, no, because I'm.
What did Mr. Dahmer do? Did he likewise have a drink?
No, I think, yeah, right, a beer, But I don't think he drank all of his drink at that time.
Did he have any rum with him?
I just noticed the beer. Right.
What time are we talking about now that you're sitting on the couch and you get the beer? You got over there about what time and how long after this?
It was about before 7, 6:45, something like that.
So you're sitting on the couch, he brings you a beer and rum and coke, what happens?
Okay, then we just study talking and everything, you know.
General talk?
General talk.
What happens?
Yeah, then I was just, I don't know, getting a little agitated maybe, you know, because of the smell and things. And then he threw my conversation off talking about the fish in the fish tank, you know.
Okay, when you start talking about the fish in the fish tank, do you bring that up or does he?
He does.
And what do you do when he does that?
I turn to the right, like the fish tank is here, I'm turning all the way over here.
You turn to your right to look at it?
To look at the fish tank, right.
And when that happens, what happens to you?
All of a sudden a handcuff and a knife is pulled on me. Yeah.
Handcuff is placed on your body? Where?
On my left wrist.
And you see a knife?
Yeah, the knife, yeah.
Now, at that moment, what do you do?
First I feel fear, then I ask him what's going on, you know. This is not necessary, you know, to pull a knife on me at that
Are you
point.
afraid?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to know why he did that?
None whatsoever.
Did you have any idea at that time it was going to happen?
No.
Tell me about his demeanor at that time when you looked and realized he had a knife and you in a cuff. You were only cuffed on one wrist.
One wrist, yeah.
What was happening to the other part of the handcuff?
Okay, he had it in his hand.
He was holding it.
Holding that in the wrist, yeah.
Where was the knife? In the other hand?
The knife was like he had here. The knife was in his hand. He had it on me like this.
Let the record reflect he was holding the knife in his right hand as he showed it, holding the cuff in his left hand. Is that right?
Right.
And your left hand is cuffed.
Yeah, right.
Where do you have the knife? What kind of a knife was it?
It was like a military knife, a machete of some type. Yeah, he had it lowered right up under my rib cage, you know. Like
So
in
he
the
had
back, somewhere in the back here.
He had it pointed at your rib cage.
Yeah.
Did you feel it? Touch
Yeah,
it?
he had it on me. He had it against my body.
What happened? What was going through your mind the moment that happened when you realized you had a knife at your side and a handcuff on your hand? What did you think?
I think like, you know, what's going on, you know? This guy is so nice and all of a sudden, you know, it's like he's pulling knives and handcuffs and all on me, you know.
What'd you do? What'd you say to him?
I asked him what the problem was, you know, that it's not necessary to do this, you know.
What'd he say?
He told me at that point if I wouldn't do what he said, he would kill me, yeah.
Now, tell us about his demeanor at the time that you look at him and you say, what's going on? You don't have to do this. What happens to Mr. Dahmer? What's he like?
It's like not the same person that we met at Grand Avenue Mall.
How does he different?
His face structure seemed different, you know. His body structure is like it wasn't him anymore, you know. It's like it was a totally different guy there.
So he told you if you didn't do what he told you to do, he'd hurt you.
He hurt me.
What'd you do? What happened? Tell us what happened step by step as best you can remember.
And then all of a sudden he kind of calms down, you know. And then he said he has a key in the bedroom, so we proceed to the bedroom.
The key to the handcuffs.
Right.
So you believed he was going to take them off?
Yeah. At that point, I had to go along with this guy, you know. And then if I had to find out, so I walked back there with him. He kind of guides me back there, you know.
Guides you back with the cuff and the knife?
Yeah, right.
And you go into the bedroom?
Right.
What do you see in the bedroom?
A big, about 50, 60 gallon drum barrel, whatever.
Do you ever see a 50, 60 drum barrel in anybody's bedroom
No.
before?
Not at all.
Do you have any idea? Did you ask him what it was?
No. At that point, I asked no questions at that time. You know.
Was there a bed in that room?
Yes.
How was the bed? Was it made, unmade? It
was unmade.
What did you see on the bed, if anything?
Something like a stain or whatever, yeah, on the bed.
What did you think it was?
At that point in time, I wasn't sure.
What did you do when you got in the bedroom as he's holding on to the cuff and the knife? What did you do?
Studied us talking, trying to be friends with him, you know.
Did you remain standing? Did you sit down?
He made me sit down at that point. We both sit on the bed. Right.
Was it at the foot of the bed, side of the bed, head of the bed?
Maybe halfway between.
Did that room have a TV set in it?
Yes.
Was there anything going on the TV?
Yeah, the Exorcist movies was playing at that time.
There was an Exorcist movie on.
Yeah.
You know which one of them?
The name I'm not sure. I think it's 3. I'm not sure which one.
So there was a movie. Did you know it to be part of television or VCR?
VCR, normally that's not on regular television, so I thought it was VCR.
You knew there was a movie showing.
Right.
Did you see him put it on, or was it on?
No. When we first got into the apartment, he went through the back to the back bedroom. Maybe he put it on then, I'm not sure.
Okay. And then what happened? You're both sitting on the bed?
Yes.
Are you still in handcuffs?
Yes.
Is he holding the handcuff?
Right.
Do you still have the knife?
Right.
Is it pointed at your side as you've told us before?
Right.
You trying to be cool?
Very much so.
You're not fighting with him?
No. not
What's
at
your intention? What are you planning on doing?
all. Getting away, I was contemplating on at the point jumping out the window. Yep. I was basically talking with this person, trying to let him know I was his friend. Yeah.
As you were sitting there on the bed, when he had you by the handcuff and a knife at your side, at that time, which would have been maybe 7 o'clock,
Something like that.
what impression was made upon your mind by the conduct, action, manner, expression, and conversation that you observed of Mr. Dahmer?
His frame of mind is what you want to know, right? Okay, he acted. At times he would go through like different changes with me, you know.
Tell us about that.
One minute he's like nice, then he was telling he didn't want people to leave him or abandon him, things of this nature, you know. Yeah.
Well, what did you think about him as a person? What impression was made on your mind of this fella that you're dealing with here?
Yeah. That at times he wasn't himself, and then at times he was like a nice guy, you know. He would come and go different times, you know, throughout the whole time. Then he would like sit, being quiet at times, watching a movie, wanting me to watch the movie, you know, and just doing little tanning sounds, you know.
Did you observe him watching the movie and how he would react to the movie?
Right, he would like just start rocking back and forth when he, you know, certain parts of the movie or whatever.
You have to say, what did he say, Madam?
He was like chanting at certain times and rocking back and forth, right?
Tell us about his chanting. What was that all about?
I'm not even sure, sir, but it was just like, I can't tell you the words. I couldn't understand what he was saying at that time.
Can you mimic him? How it sounded?
It was like a slow slur, like, some of that nature, some close like that, I'm not sure.
Did it keep on for a period of time?
Off and on throughout the ordeal.
And how about the movement back and forth? How was that being effectuated?
Just like back and forth, he would do it every now and then. You know?
Just as you are rocking in your
Right,
chair.
like this,
And chanting.
and chanting.
Was there any parts of the movie that was going on that you saw that he said anything about?
It was like the part about the preacher that used to be a preacher that had got possessed, and that it would seem like he was like interested in that part. That part had his attention more than anything. You know?
Well, tell us about what you mean by that. What impressions were made upon your mind when this was going on as to had his attention? How did he appear to you?
It appeared like it was like he wanted to mimic it or be like that part, you know, being demonized or whatever in that nature.
I'm sorry, I missed you.
Yeah, like he wanted that type of movie, that part, certain parts of that part interested him, you know. It was like he changed with it at times. Then he would get more aggressive, try to get me to handcuff myself, both hands, and he's told me it made him feel more dominant at that time.
Okay, did you and he move off of the bed at any time?
Yes, he wanted me to lay flat down, stomach down on the floor at that time.
Did you at any time go to the bathroom, use the washroom, prior to the time that he asked you to lay down on the floor?
No.
All right, tell us what happened how did that happen that he told you to lay down on the floor?
You know, he told me to lay down, face down, put both of my hands behind my back because he changed again at that point, like he got more aggressive at that time.
Okay, now, but tell us, did he still have the knife out?
Yes, he still had the knife with him.
And what did you do?
Okay, I kind of like laid on my sides for some reason. I guess God told me not to lay flat down or let this person handcuff me, so I didn't.
So you were trying to stop that from happening, but you got
Right.
down on the floor.
Right.
What did he do?
He kind of laid across me, put his head across my chest at that point.
And what was he doing with his head?
Pardon me?
What did it appear to you he was doing with his head? What was he trying to do?
Like he was listening to my heart, because at a point he told me he was going to eat my heart at that point.
He said he was going to eat your heart?
Yes, that's correct.
Did he still have the knife?
Yeah.
Where was the knife pointed?
When I was on the floor, he had it pointed at my groin area at that time.
One knife?
He had several, and then he slipped when I managed to slide one underneath the bed. And I guess during a point of time through an ordeal, he didn't know where the knife was, so I didn't know if he felt that was a threat or not.
So he still had a knife, you're on the floor. How long does he lay on top of you trying to hear your heart as you've described it?
Maybe a minute, minute and a half.
And then what did you do then?
I knew something was about to happen, so I suggested that I go to the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom at that
And
time.
what did he do?
He kind of guided me to the bathroom.
So when you say he guided, you still had hold of your handcuff?
Yes,
And you went to the bathroom.
right.
Did you urinate?
Yeah.
Were you able to utilize your own zipper, or did he touch you at all?
Touched me in no way. Didn't attempt to look. He just held me in back, you know.
So in other words, he didn't try to look at what your penis looked like or anything?
Not at all.
So after urinating, did you think that you were going to be the victim of, did he ask to engage in any homosexual acts with you?
None whatsoever.
Okay, so now you leave the bathroom and what happens?
Okay, then we go back into the bedroom. You know. It was like different time spans. We were talking about him losing his job. Then he would come to the person that I was first with, you know. And then at certain points he would change. You know, at first he was telling me about how people didn't care for him and things of this nature. And I was trying to comfort him, letting him know that I was a friend, you know, that I wasn't going to try to run away from him or nothing like that.
So you were being cool.
I guess God, you can say that, because I had no control. I don't know.
Did this continue on for a long period of time during the night?
Yes, apparently so. Time seemed to, I don't know. But I stayed in there that long, so it had to be going on throughout the whole ordeal, which it was. So time just, it happened like that.
And all this time you're trying to hold him down.
Yeah, certain points, right.
How often would he go in and out of these moods?
Sorry, at the time spans I couldn't really tell you, but like he would I guess if you want to put it together in time, every 30 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that, you know. And then he would have moods of being just silent, you know. And I wouldn't say anything, try to provoke him or say the wrong thing. I would be silent with him.
Okay. So you just let him be alone. Was that movie on the whole time, a long time?
It was on a pretty good period of time, yeah. And when it went off, I couldn't tell you.
Did he continue to chant from time to time?
Yes, it happened several times throughout the ordeal.
Now, when he would watch the movie, did you notice when he would go into this thing that you told us where he would really become fixed on the movie screen? What was happening? How often would that happen?
Throughout the movie, maybe every 15 or 20 minutes, and then he would turn around and try to ask me to put both of my hands behind my back, and I wouldn't, you know, do it. I would talk to him. I'd tell him, you can trust me, you know, you don't have to do this, and that would calm him down a little bit. You know?
He had the knife the whole time.
Right.
He's watching the movie and he becomes very interested in the movie.
Right.
You don't do anything, just sit there.
Just sit there and be quiet.
And then he would start conversation with you again.
Yeah, he was like you're gonna have to do this and that, you know. Then he told me at a point I was gonna have to kill him, or he was gonna have to kill me at one point.
Were you and he drinking during this time?
No.
So he wasn't running out, bringing you out and getting beers and coming back?
I would have been out the window at that point.
Sure.
If he would have.
Did he, when he was fixed, I'm trying to get some words to understand, was he intoxicated?
He had been drinking, but as far as being intoxicated, he was not staggering or anything of that nature.
But you know that some people, when they have too much to drink, change their moods. Was that the kind of mood changes he was having, or a different kind of mood change?
I think this was like more of an inner mood change than an alcoholic mood change.
What kind of mood?
It's like
inner mood?
Yeah, a person change, not alcohol change.
What did you think about this guy? What was going through your mind as to who you were sitting next to, who was doing all these things?
A bizarre individual, someone that was very confused at this time.
Now, there came a time when you went to the washroom again?
Right, I suggested, yeah, because he had started getting aggressive a little bit again. I suggested to go to the bathroom. He let me stay in there by myself while he stayed outside the door at that time.
And what happened then?
And then I told him, well, I was contemplating, I was asking God, shall I make my move now and I was gonna just jump out the window. But when I got out, for some reason, I asked, could I have another beer? Yeah.
And what did he do?
And he reaches over, he guides me over and reaches in and get a beer.
He still got you on the cuff.
Yeah, and then he tells me, I told him I want to sit in the front because it's an air conditioner. I was just going to try to jump out the window or go for the door or whatever, and because the back bedroom didn't have an air conditioner, only in the front. So I suggested we sit on the couch. I had unbuttoned my shirt to try to make him feel more at ease. And then I just sat on the couch and he just started going out of himself again. Yeah.
Going out of himself?
Yeah, he was like paying me no attention at that time.
Like he wasn't there?
Yeah, he started the chanting again, and it's like just sitting there, And then I just, for some reason, I said, well, I need to go to the bathroom again, and he didn't follow me at that point. So I reached up, I got up, and then I hit him, and I ran out.
So you hit him?
Right.
Did you have any other belongings there?
Yeah, I have my bag right there at the end of the couch. I sit in exactly the same place that I sit when I went in there.
So when you got up, he let go of your cuff to let you go to the bathroom again?
He just let me stay there. I was going to go for the window. At that point, he didn't even have the cuff. It's like I wasn't even there anymore.
And when you saw that, what'd you do?
I just seized the opportunity. I said, well, at least I'm going to die trying. I'm not just going to sit here,
What'd you do, son?
I hit him, and I ran towards the door, and he was right there, tried to grab me, get me back in there.
And what happened?
Then I made it outside.
So he wasn't able to bring you back in?
Bring me back in there, no.
He tried?
He tried.
And as you left that apartment, as you got away from him, I'm going to ask you again, what impressions were made on your mind by the conduct of Jeffrey Dahmer, by the actions of Jeffrey Dahmer, by the manner, expressions, and conversations of Jeffrey Dahmer that you observed? Can you give us some words?
It's like I told the policeman that this freak, this crazy guy, was trying to hurt me. Yeah.
Did you run out of the building?
Yes, I did.
Did you summon help?
Yes.
Milwaukee Police Department?
That's correct.
Did they come back there with you to the apartment?
Right.
Did you eventually go back into the apartment with the Milwaukee police officers?
Yes.
And then he was arrested?
Right.
You gave a statement to the Milwaukee police a few hours later?
Yeah, I guess you could say a few hours, yeah.
Mr. Edwards, through your lawyer, I had you come to Wisconsin to testify.
That's correct.
Other than your expenses, you're not being paid anything,
No.
correct? Is that true?
That's true.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Dahmer met a violent end in prison, but the wounds he inflicted linger on. His name is forever associated with monstrosity, serving as a cautionary tale of what occurs when evil is allowed to flourish. This has been the chilling account of Jeffrey Dahmer. Stay alert, stay aware, and remember that the darkest threats often lurk in plain sight. And if you ever find yourself walking alone at night, casting wary glances behind you, keep in mind that the true monsters don't hide beneath the bed. They smile, they charm, and they invite you in. If you've made it this far, it means you're enjoying the story. If you're interested in more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a great story. This is Liam. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.